Today we're digging into some really fascinating research, stuff that kind of flips the script on how we usually think about success.
That's right. We're looking at sources that argue achieving those big exponential results doesn't come from massive leaps.
Not the huge risks or life overhauls we often hear about.
No, exactly. It's about something quieter, more systematic. It's about optimizing the tiny choices you make every single day. That's the mission today. Unlock how those small inputs create huge outputs.
We're talking about moving past just, good habits into something more like the math of it, the self-reinforcing loop.
Precisely, understanding why these small things create geometric growth, not just adding up, but multiplying over time. We want to give you that blueprint for being, well, systematically successful.
Okay, let's kick things off with something that sounds, well, honestly, a bit nuts. But the sources cite research from a Harvard mathematician.
Ah, the bed-making claim.
Yeah. That simply making your bed every morning could boost your lifetime wealth by something like $680,000. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
It definitely grabs your attention, doesn't it? And it's a perfect starting point because, of course, it's not really about the bed or the money directly.
Right, there has to be more to it.
It's the mechanism underneath. The research calls it compound behavioral effects. Making the bed is a small win, yes, but it does something neurologically important.
Okay.
It engages your prefrontal cortex, the planning, the executive function part of your brain. And at the same time, it sort of suppresses the amygdala, the fear, the procrastination center.
So that little win isn't just feeling good. It's actually changing how your brain is functioning for the rest of the day, a cognitive shift.
Exactly, a measurable shift.
Yeah.
You start the day feeling a little more competent, a bit more in control. That tiny bit of momentum makes the next small positive choice slightly easier.
Like choosing the healthier breakfast instead of grabbing something sugary.
Perfect example. And that better fuel choice compounds into more stable energy, better focus at work. Better focus means better output. Better output leads to more opportunities, career growth, and eventually decades down the line, that's where the geometric financial return, that $680,000 figure, comes from.
Okay, that makes more sense. It's the accumulated leverage from years of slightly better focus, slightly better decisions, all sparked by that one initial micro action.
It's a self-reinforcing loop, starting incredibly small. No magic involved.
So our mission today isn't just about motivation, try harder. It's about finding a system, something rooted in this Harvard research to help you identify those. What did the source call them? The high leverage choices.
The 1% decisions that create 90% of your life results. That's the goal. We want to show you how to be really strategic with your limited willpower. Put it where it counts most.
Where it gives you the maximum acceleration.
Exactly.
Okay, so the systematic approach, it apparently starts by tackling a really common mistake. The research calls it the plateau mistake. I have a feeling this is where a lot of us get stuck.
Oh, absolutely. It's the great limiter for so many people. The plateau mistake is basically how we tend to save all our mental bandwidth, all our focus for the big, infrequent decisions.
Like agonizing over changing jobs or a big investment or moving house.
Right. Those high stakes but very low frequency choices we spend months researching, debating.
Thinking if we just nail those few big decisions, everything else will sort itself out.
That's the trap. And while we're doing that, we completely ignore the literally thousands of tiny, low-stakes, high-frequency decisions we make every single day.
Like when you check your email, what you listen to on your commute, how you switch between tasks.
Exactly, those mundane moments. That's where the real geometric change happens because you repeat them constantly. Think about it. A 1% improvement on something you do daily multiplies 365 times a year.
Whereas a 1% improvement on a decision you make once every 5 years.
The impact is tiny, almost negligible over the long run.
Huh. So all the energy I might spend researching the absolute perfect stock pick, maybe some of that brain power should go into optimizing, say, the first 15 minutes of my workday, since I do that hundreds of times a year.
That's the strategic shift right there. And the data really backs this up. Dr. Sean Aker's research, the one tracking 12,000 people for a decade, it gives us solid proof.
10 years, 12,000 people, that's substantial.
It is. They specifically looked at these micro-behaviors, the small, daily, repeatable actions. And the findings were, frankly, staggering.
Okay, hit me with it.
The group that systematically optimized these kinds of small, accelerating habits, they achieved 237% better life outcomes.
Whoa! 237% better outcomes across what metrics?
Across the board, health, career progression, even the depth and quality of their relationship, compared to the group who just focus on the big decisions or relied on, raw talent.
237%.
Yeah.
That's not just doing a bit better. That's like ending up on a completely different life trajectory.
It really is. It's the compound life effect in action. And the crucial insight wasn't that these top performers were smarter or more motivated initially.
No.
No, they were simply more systematic. They had a process for figuring out which small decisions gave them that compound return and which ones were just energy leaks, low leverage drains.
They understood that tiny, consistent advantages piled up day after day create a massive gap over time.
Precisely. It widens the gap between them and people just coasting on talent or waiting for big breaks.
Okay, but let me push back a bit here. This sounds, well, it sounds like a lot of work itself. Tracking, auditing, reviewing these tiny decisions. Doesn't the effort of managing the system kind of defeat the purpose of focusing on small inputs?
That's a critical point, and the answer is the effort has to go into the design of the system, not the daily execution.
Yeah.
Once the system is set up, like deciding you'll always take the stairs or batching your emails, the daily action should require minimal willpower. Think of it like investing 1 hour on Sunday to plan your week.
Right, a system decision.
That 1 hour might save you 10 hours of reactive scrambling and decision fatigue during the week. That's a huge ROI. The framework we're about to discuss helps make sure that initial design effort is focused on the right things.
Got it. So the upfront effort pays compound dividends and saved effort later.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's get into that framework then. How do we strategically allocate that effort? The research breaks it down into 4 categories, right?
Yes. 4 categories where these geometric compound returns are most likely. We start with category 1, energy compound decisions. And their recommendation is to put about 40% of your optimization focus here.
40% on energy. Why so much?
Because energy is the foundation. If your energy is low, inconsistent, or just shaky, everything else suffers. Your ability to learn, your patience in relationships, your focus for systems, it all degrades. These are the tiny choices that build or drain your daily vitality.
And the examples seem almost ridiculously simple, like going to bed 15 minutes earlier. How impactful can that really be?
It seems small, but done consistently. That extra 15 minutes often translates into more complete sleep cycles. Better REM, more deep sleep. The direct result. Better emotional regulation the next day. Significantly better prefrontal cortex function.
So it's not just feeling less tired, it's actually improving your core decision-making ability.
Exactly. You're better able to resist distractions, prioritize tasks, handle stress without snapping. That decision integrity is where the compound value really lies.
Okay. What about taking the stairs instead of the elevator? Feels like a tiny calorie burn. Hardly worth mentioning.
Again, it's not primarily about the calories. It's about embedding micro movements into your day. It acts as an energy primer. Those little bursts of activity, repeated often, compound into better long-term cardiovascular fitness, yes, but more immediately, a higher baseline of available energy throughout the entire day.
Turning convenience into capacity. I like that.
Other examples of research highlights? Drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. Simple hydration boost after sleep helps metabolism. Or taking just a 5-minute walk first thing.
5 minutes.
Yep. Triple compound effect. Establishes a movement habit, gets you potential sunlight for vitamin D, and creates mental clarity before the day's noise hits you. In the case study we'll discuss, David, these tiny energy tweaks, the stairs, the slightly earlier bedtime, they created what the research called a compound energy dividend.
A dividend, meaning?
Meaning by month 6, he had measurably, consistently 2 to 3 more hours of productive, focused energy per day.
Wow, an extra 2 or 3 high-quality hours daily, just from those small energy investments.
That's the power of energy compounding. It fuels everything else.
Okay, so once you have that energy foundation solid, category 2 is learning compound decisions.
Yeah.
Multiplying your skills and knowledge.
Right. This is about knowledge acceleration, building capabilities over time. Reading just 10 pages a day sounds trivial.
Yeah, seems like barely anything.
But do that consistently, and you're looking at 18, maybe 20 books read per year. That breadth of knowledge gives you connections, insights, a real competitive edge. It's the consistency that allows ideas to layer and connect.
And learning a new skill. The recommendation is 15 minutes daily.
15 minutes of focus practice, yes. Do that 6 days a week, that's 90 minutes weekly, over, say, 3 years. That's nearly 250 hours of dedicated practice on one specific skill.
Which is definitely enough to build real expertise.
Undeniable expertise. It makes you valuable. Even smaller things like learning one new technical term or vocabulary word daily. It sharpens your thinking, your communication.
I really like the example from the source about asking one thoughtful question in every meeting.
Yeah.
That feels powerful but low effort.
It's a fantastic compound investment. It hits 3 targets, deepens your own understanding, learning, signals strategic thinking to others, builds your reputation, which leads to relationships, and shows you're engaged. Also relationships.
So smart.
And we saw this with David. He committed to 20 minutes of targeted learning daily industry podcasts during his commute, specific articles at lunch that directly fueled the skills that led to his promotion and that 30% salary bump within 18 months. Knowledge literally compounded into income.
Incredible. Okay, category 3. Relationship compound decisions. We all know networks are important, but investing in them can feel draining or random. How do you systemize that?
It's about building social capital through small, consistent, high-quality interactions. Forget the big networking events for a moment. Think smaller, like sending just one meaningful text or email each week to someone specific in your network.
Just checking in, offering value, not asking for anything.
Exactly. It's a high-leverage way to keep connections warm, to prevent that natural relationship decay, without needing hours of schmoozing.
And the research mentioned remembering specific details people share.
This one is huge. Remembering and asking about something specific they mentioned last time, their kid's soccer game, a project they were stressed about, their planned vacation. It takes maybe 15 seconds to jot down a note right after you talk to them.
But the impact is massive. Makes them feel heard, valued.
Creates real connection. Years of relationship dividend from seconds of effort. Another example, just being 5 minutes early for every single meeting.
Seems basic.
Basic, but it compounds into a powerful reputation for reliability. People want to work with reliable people. And expressing genuine, specific appreciation, not just good job, but thanks for catching that error on slide 7, that saved us potential embarrassment.
Specificity matters.
Hugely. These tiny investments create the fertile ground for those unexpected opportunities. The job offer from an old contact, the partnership suggestion, the valuable introduction. They don't happen randomly. They arise from this consistently nurtured ecosystem.
Okay, finally, category 4. Systems, compound decisions. The efficiency multiplier.
Right. This is about tiny tweaks to your daily processes that cut out friction and wasted mental energy. They don't necessarily create energy or knowledge directly, but they free up resources for the other categories.
Like laying out your clothes the night before.
Exactly. A 5-minute task that eliminates a point of decision fatigue and potential stress first thing in the morning. Frees up that bit of cognitive bandwidth for a better energy decision, perhaps.
And the classic example, email batching. Only checking and processing email at set times, like 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m.
That is a powerful behavioral firewall. Constant email checking, the notifications. It shatters your focus. You're constantly stopping and restarting. Batching creates protected blocks of deep work time.
What else falls under systems?
Things like a quick 15-minute weekly planning session, looking ahead, setting priorities, that compounds massively by preventing reactive firefighting all week. Or the habit of immediate filing or organizing, dealing with something right away instead of letting it pile up. Prevents compound stress and wasted search time later.
So David, by optimizing these small system points, he effectively bought back time. An hour or 2 a day.
Exactly. He reclaimed that time from friction, from stress, from disorganization. And crucially, he then reinvested that reclaimed time and focus into his energy, learning, and relationship goals.
That's the multiplication effect. They all feed each other.
That's where the magic happens, in the synthesis. Better systems create time. More time allows better energy habits. Better energy fuels learning. Better learning enhances relationships. It's a virtuous cycle, building geometrically.
Let's pause on that portfolio allocation you mentioned. 40% energy, 30% learning, 20% relationships, 10% systems. Why that specific split? Why is energy so heavily weighted at 40%?
It reflects a kind of hierarchy of needs for achieving and sustaining high performance. Energy at 40% is foundational. It's the absolute prerequisite.
If you don't have the energy,
Then your ability to focus for learning, to make good decisions, to engage emotionally in relationships, to even implement systems effectively, it all plummets. Think of energy as the bedrock. If it's crumbling, the whole structure you're trying to build on top is unstable, especially under pressure.
So if someone listening decides, okay, I'm going all in on learning, that's my 40%, but they neglect the energy side,
Yeah.
what happens, mathematically speaking?
They'll likely hit a hard ceiling and probably burn out. They might force themselves to read those 10 pages a day, but if they're running on fumes, caffeine, and poor sleep,
Retention goes down.
absolutely. They won't retain the information effectively. They won't have the mental clarity to connect ideas or apply the knowledge strategically. And worse, their limited energy will likely lead to poor decisions in other areas, snapping at a colleague, relationship damage, skipping their weekly planning, system failure. The learning efforts get throttled by the energy deficit.
Okay, so energy first. Then the 30% learning and 20% relationships seem geared towards growth and opportunity.
Exactly. Learning builds your internal engine, your skills, your capabilities. Relationships build your external opportunity landscape, the network that brings insights, collaborations, chances. You absolutely need both firing to maximize your trajectory.
And systems at just 10% seems low for efficiency.
It's not that systems aren't important, they're crucial multipliers. But they aren't the primary drivers of growth in the same way energy, learning, and relationships are. Systems optimize the application of the other three. That 10% focus ensures the other 90% of your effort isn't being lost to friction, disorganization, or stress. It boosts efficiency, but it doesn't create the core value itself. This balanced portfolio prevents burnout and allows for sustainable, long-term geometric growth.
Right, let's bring David's story into sharper focus. We need to understand the practical steps, maybe even the struggles, of putting this theory into practice. He started with that 2-month compound decision audit.
Right, and David was, doing okay by conventional standards, good job, stable life, but definitely feeling stuck, plateaued professionally. That 2-week tracking period for the audit, he described it as kind of brutal.
Why brutal? What did he find?
It forced him to confront all the unconscious, negative compounding habits he had. Things he wasn't even really aware were hurting him.
Like what? What were the big ones?
The snooze button was a huge energy killer, hitting it 2, sometimes 3 times each morning. He didn't realize those 20 minutes of fragmented, low-quality sleep were jacking up his cortisol levels and basically guaranteeing a sluggish start to his day.
Wow, okay.
What else? Scrolling his phone in bed, first thing upon waking. Before his brain was really online, he was flooding it with reactive stuff, news, emails, social media, setting himself up for a day of putting out fires instead of proactive work.
That's a common one. And in learning.
Huge missed opportunity there. He realized he was spending nearly an hour combined during his commute and lunch breaks consuming pure entertainment. Just filling time. Not learning, not growing, just passively consuming.
That shift from filling time to consciously compounding time feels like a major mental hurdle.
It is. It requires intentionality. And in relationships, the audit revealed he was terrible at follow-up. He'd have a good conversation, maybe exchange contact info, and then nothing. The intention was there, but the system wasn't. He also admitted that in conversations, he was often mentally rehearsing his own next point instead of truly listening.
Ouch. Missing those connection points.
Exactly, missing the details that build rapport. So, summed up, his default unconscious decisions were actually creating a slow, steady compound decline despite his obvious talent.
The audit gave him the roadmap, the target areas. So months 3 and 4 were about strategic implementation. What was the philosophy here? Not changing everything at once.
No, absolutely not. The key was high leverage, low willpower. Pick just a few critical changes, one in each category that would give the biggest bang for the buck with the least ongoing mental strain.
Okay, walk us through the 4 specific changes he made.
For energy, he instituted the sleep firewall. Phone on airplane mode, placed across the room 1 hour before his target bedtime. Non-negotiable. He also started prepping a simple, protein-heavy breakfast the night before to eliminate the skip breakfast decision. And the stairs rule, 3 flights or less, always take the stairs.
Simple, repeatable, high frequency. Got it? Learning.
He turned his 45-minute commute into dedicated podcast time, business, skills, industry news. He didn't need to find extra time. He repurposed that existing dead time. And during his lunch break, 15 minutes dedicated to reading specific industry reports or articles. Focused input, not just browsing.
Smart.